Hey everybody, this is Pat Collins, aka the Big PH, and I'm here to give you a review for Monday Night Raw for the night of July 22nd, 2013. And I did a live reaction to the opener last night, which you guys may have saw, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought everybody was on their game. I thought Brad Maddox was doing Brad Maddox. He was being an asshole. I thought John Cena, you know. Cut a really good promo because he was being serious and at the same time he was connecting with the fans, when he's putting over people like Rey Mysterio, like Shawn Michaels, like Eddie Guerrero, people that aren't big, aren't the biggest, but they are probably go down in history as some of the greatest WWE champions that have ever stepped in the ring, especially Eddie and Shawn. And that's why he looks at Daniel Bryan and he says that he could be the future of the company, but he's not just going to hand him that title. And Daniel Bryan doesn't want, if I know Daniel Bryan, the way his career has been structured, he doesn't ever want anything handed to him. And if he wins the title, he will have deserved it, but he's not going to win because Cena put him over verbally. He put him over verbally. Therefore, he doesn't have to put him over in a match. Like, that's ridiculous. He's John Cena. He only has to put you over one time. Once. Alberto Del Rio versus Sheamus was next. It was a decent match, but I've seen it way too often. Alberto wins with a roll-up. You should probably have your world champion win a little bit more cleanly than that. They told a decent story and everything, but I think that Sheamus shouldn't really compete with with your world champion like that. It should have been a little bit more one-sided. But that's just my thoughts. They don't really care about their champions. And then it was Christian versus Titus O'Neil. And Titus O'Neil and Darren Young, I see these guys and I see, they have so much charisma and they have a way to really connect with the fans. And I don't see why the primetime players are heels. Why aren't they faces? Because they could be amazing baby faces. The crowds would love them. They do their dancing, they're shucking and jiving thing. Okay, that was pretty racist. I'm sorry, but they do their whole dancing thing. The kids would love it, and they're better in the ring than tons of funk. So you can't hate on that. So here's to hoping that they get pushed as baby faces. And Titus, these guys put on a really decent match. Every time I see Titus and Darren, they really are impressing me. The more I see of them in the ring, but Christian ends up winning this one. Basically out of nowhere again. And then we have a promo backstage with Ryback. The problem with Ryback is I don't take him seriously. And the crowd doesn't take him seriously. Nobody likes Ryback. Nobody wants to see Ryback. They did a couple months ago, and not anymore. And he did an interview with Josh Matthews where he was basically just calling Josh Matthews a punk, and that I know what could have got him over if he'd have beat the hell out of Josh Matthews. He wouldn't have said a word if he'd have just started slamming him all over the place and just beating the crap out of him. That might have been able to get him over as a heel. But him cutting a stupid promo about how he's not gonna take it anymore from anybody, like, dude, whatever. Like how intimidating he is, you're not. I'm not intimidated. And Josh Matthews wasn't intimidated. And that's saying something. When you don't have Josh Matthews intimidated, you're pretty much a pussy ass bitch. After that, Mark Henry comes out. Mark Henry. It shows a package of Mark Henry. I'm sorry. It shows a package of Mark Henry. And then the Shield come out. They have a little match, or what could be like the start of a match between them and the Usos, but basically it evolves into Dean Ambrose coming down and fighting. And then Mark Henry comes out to a huge reaction because I guess he's a Texas boy, and he's a babyface now officially. And I think they're setting up a match for SummerSlam between another 6-man tag match. So hopefully that works out. But yeah, then Ziggs comes out. It's Ziggler versus Darren Young. They have a really good match. Ziggler can basically be entertaining with anybody in the ring. And Darren Young, like I said, has been impressing me the more and more I see him. And, So Ziggler obviously wins what's a decent matchup. Big E comes out, and Big E and AJ come out, try to beat him up, but Zigzag just ducks him and runs out. Big E's coming in the ring, he runs out of the ring. It just shows how he's so much smarter than him. He walks out, gives him the whole thing. I love that. Gives him an AJ that thing, and just continues on with his business. Okay, the next segment I'm going to love to talk about. And if you can't tell I'm sarcastic, then, well, I don't know. The next segment was the Total Divas segment. Pimping the Total Divas show on E! I'm thinking about watching this show because there is something honestly funny and entertaining about watching a train wreck, I think. Watching a train wreck happen live before your eyes, I think that's what makes my videos so fun. And I think that's what's going to make this show so fun. So, you know what? I might watch. I'm kind of planning on watching the first episode of Total Divas on E! And I'll probably give you a review on it. And show you just fucking how out of touch WWE is with everything. But The Miz and Jerry the King Lawler host this segment. And then there's this chick named Ava Marie who dyed her hair like red because apparently she looks something like one of the Bella twins. And she slaps Jerry the King in the face just to make a name up for herself. And you know what? I'll say it worked, because as soon as she slapped him in the face, I was like, oh man, maybe she's like an underground wrestler, underground women's wrestler that I'd never heard of, and they're hoping on pushing her big. And you know what? She's not. She's just a model. So if anybody wants to know, Ava Marie is not important, and she's probably going to be a horrible wrestler. But, only time will tell how horrible she will be. So let's not judge that just yet. So, we have, of course, more of the Triple H Vince McMahon power struggle stuff today. I'm not sure how I feel about this. It's okay now, but I hear that it's supposed to continue until WrestleMania of next year. So I don't know if I'll be as pumped about it or even semi-excited about it in 6 months. So, yeah. Vince McMahon, it's basically Vince McMahon doesn't like Daniel Bryan. Why? Because he's small. Everybody knows that. That's why he doesn't, and Triple H does. And Maddox needs to decide where he's putting his chips, which train he's hopping on, because one's heading to the future and one's just gonna, crash and kill everybody on it. So Maddox wants to choose the right train. He should, and he's gonna have a tough decision. Rhodes versus, there's Cody Rhodes versus Fandango. They put on a decent match. I'm a huge fan of Cody Rhodes. I like him as a face. I like him in the ring. And I love the love stash, hashtag love stash. I love it, and it was really entertaining. He hits a moonsaw. He had a moonsaw and he messed it up a little bit. But it was a really good match. Even with a botched moonsaw, it was really good. And then Damien Sandow comes out, or he was at commentary, and he tries to, interfere with the match. Doesn't really work out. So this is going to be a big feud going into SummerSlam and maybe the months on. Cody Rhodes versus Damien Sandow. I like that. I like that a lot. And then it's Punk. He comes out and he basically says that he's not afraid of Brock Lesnar. He's not afraid of anybody. Not afraid of Paul Heyman. Not afraid, and he never has been afraid. So at SummerSlam, it's going to be the best versus the Beast. And I thought that was so catchy right off the rip. And I'm really looking forward to this match. Heyman comes out and he says, Punk, it's not the best versus the Beast, because the best is the Beast. Saying Brock Lesnar is basically going to crush you. He's going to whoop all over you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. And Punk basically says, it doesn't matter. How much I get beat down, I'm going to keep getting back up. So I think both these guys are really good on the mic. I think Punk's intensity is at a perfect level, like how he's been cutting his promos in this feud, because it doesn't really, my friend told me it doesn't even really sound like CM Punk, and I think that's the whole point. It's not supposed to sound like CM Punk. This is not the same CM Punk we know. This is, he's way more intense, and I really enjoy it. And then RVD versus Wade Barrett, alright, I guess. RVD, he does his thing. I guess if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If you don't, then you don't. Me personally, You know, I like RVD. I was a big fan of his, 10 years ago. Now, I'm happy to see him back, but every week I could tell, I think he's going to get stale pretty fast, and that's a shame. But, it was a decent match. He ended it with a 5-star frog splash. After that, it was Daniel Bryan. Now, earlier, Brad Maddox had told Daniel Bryan that he was going to have more than one opponent, and he ended up having 3 opponents and wrestling for over a half hour, and it was amazing. Daniel Bryan proved tonight that he is probably the best athlete in the company, and of course he's the most over. And that's why I think he should be WWE Champion, but he probably won't be. But he took on first Jack Swagger in a really short match. It was probably only about 3 minutes long, maybe 3 to 5 minutes long, and it was really hard hitting, but it was really quick. And he ends that with the yes lock. And then it was him and Antonio Cesaro, who went for a good 20 minutes in what was an amazing match. Stiff. Some of those uppercuts, those European uppercuts that Cesaro was giving to D-Bry were just, made my jaw hurt how hard they were. And it was an amazing contest, which Daniel Bryan, I thought Daniel Bryan was going to lose plenty of times. But he, I thought, and Daniel Bryan was basically dead on his feet. Antonio Cesaro goes for that, tosses up in the air, goes for that big uppercut, but Daniel Bryan grabs his arm, gets him in a roll up for the 1-2-3. Great ending. And then, if you thought that was going to be it, you obviously don't know how big of a dick Brad Maddox is yet, but he'll tell you. He'll learn you. Next is Ryback. And, these guys, they go out there, and after Antonio Cesaro and Daniel Bryan, it just wasn't anything special. Basically, from the get-go, I think Ryback was basically trying to just hurt Daniel Bryan. He wasn't trying to wrestle him. He was trying to get disqualified, which he ends up getting disqualified by putting him through a table. But the fans were not into this. They were chanting, "You can't wrestle." They were chanting, "Boring." They were chanting, "Goldberg." And what do you expect, WWE, when you have basically a TV classic with Antonio Cesaro and Daniel Bryan, and then you have this? Like, of course the fans are going to shit all over it, and that's what they did. But it wasn't. And then to end the night, Cena comes out, beats up Ryback, tells him that next week it's going to be a tables match, and then we flash back to Vince and Maddox. It was basically Vince saying that Daniel Bryan has to keep proving himself every week, so next week he's going to go up against Kane, which should be a decent match, and I'm looking forward to that. So, and now we know Vince is the one that's hating on Daniel Bryan, which was obvious to anyone that knows anything about WWE. And that's no bullshit. Like, he probably does hate Daniel Bryan. But overall, I thought it was a really good Raw. Not as good as last week, but pretty damn good this week. Good wrestling, good storyline development, good promos, especially the opener and the ending matches with Daniel Bryan. He proved that he is the biggest star in the company. And if WWE doesn't give him an Iron Man match and bring back the Iron Man match for Daniel Bryan and somebody else, maybe CM Punk, maybe even, if Cena thinks he could go an hour, somebody. If they don't bring back the Iron Man match, it'll be a damn shame, because Daniel Bryan is the Iron Man of the company at this moment, and he proved it tonight. He proved it by putting everything he had out into the ring for over a half hour. He proved it. But yeah, pretty good Raw. Pretty good Raw. That's it for me today, guys. Like me on Facebook, Pat Collins. Follow me on Twitter at TheBigPH1, and like my YouTube channel. And if you dig the video, give it a thumbs up. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys have a great night. Peace.